Welcome to the Third Generation Wrestling Podcast with your hosts, Eric and Rob.
We're really glad that you're our friend, and this is a friendship that'll never ever end.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Third Generation Wrestling Podcast. 3GW, and it is TLC weekend. It is the last WWE, well, really the last pay-per-view of any promotion we cover. I know Ring of Honor has a show, I think today, but there's only so much wrestling we can cover. So I'm your host, Mr. Eric, joined by my co-host, Mr. Rob. Happy holidays, and I know Christmas is coming up. How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good. Happy holidays to you, and congratulations on the new baby boy. I know it's been a busy time for you. You know, it's been busy for me, but not nearly as busy as it's been for you.
Oh man, yeah, it was kind of rough because he was born last Friday, and then we got stuck in the hospital for what seemed like a week. It was like extra 3 days because they had to check his bilirubin, which is a blood level. You want to make sure that the baby's not at risk for getting jaundice. So instead of us going home too soon, having to go back to the hospital, they just kept us. So it is what it is. He's all good now, though. Home, healthy, good to go. Took him to the doctor yesterday. Everything checked out. She's good. I know today is something I noticed this week. I noticed last night. So I was watching Thursday Night Football, and I happened to notice it's you and me in our fantasy league in the playoffs for the first round. And
And Darren Waller had a pretty big game for you tonight, which makes me a little nervous right now.
Yeah, Darren Waller did his thing. You know, that was a good game. That was a good Thursday night game, to be honest with you. You don't get those too often. But Justin Herbert's pretty good. I was sad to see Derek Carr get hurt. But, man, Marcus Mariota played his tail off.
He did, man. Had it not been for that interception he threw late in the game, I mean, he made up for it. He made the tackle and then brought him back, got him a field goal. But then Herbert, who my other opponent, I'm in the semifinals in my other league, and my opponent had Justin Herbert on his team. So yeah, I've got a couple of mountains to climb this weekend, but I'm still feeling good. I'm still feeling good about my chances.
Hey man, it ain't over till it's over. I lost by 2 points last week. 2. And that hurts more than getting blown out.
Oh, man, yeah. I'd rather get blown out.
Oh, man. But would you rather be watching TLC this Sunday?
You know, some of the matches on the card interest me. One in particular, absolutely. It could have, had it not been for the type of match that it's going to be on, and we'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think once I think you made it clear in the chat what you felt when I don't know if that means it's going to be cinematic or not. It could just be a regular Inferno match, but I guess we'll see what happens. But before we get there, man, you and I were talking earlier, and, you know, I don't know what's up with Vince and with the decision making. I get it. He's the man. He's the man in charge. But there's got to be somebody to step to him and go, look, dude, you cannot keep killing your talent like this. You got Keith Lee, who's been booked up until this point flawlessly, and then you bring him to Raw and you change his music, you change his look, change his promo, and then all of a sudden you send him back to the Performance Center for development. Oh, and you did a whole 24-hour-long documentary series on him, on a 15-year veteran, and send him back to developmental. I don't get it. Keith Lee checks every single box. He checks boxes that aren't on the list. For his size, he's extremely athletic. He does things that men his size should not be able to do. I don't get it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that to an extent. It's funny because I heard that Vince was the one who believed in Keith Lee, wanted to bring him up. Now, what I've heard is that they're sending a lot of the big guys back to the Performance Center. It's not necessarily a demotion to NXT, but him and Almost, who is AJ Styles' assistant, they've just sent them back, from what I've heard, to just work with guys like Taker and some of the other big guys, just to kind of hone their skills. Now, if that's all it is, I'm okay with that. It's not a demotion back to NXT that I would have a big problem with. Keith Lee and Almost, they were both on Raw this past Monday, so I don't think they're moving them back to NXT. I guess they just think, look, man, there's always room for improvement. Maybe it's just their way of trying to get these guys a little more work with some of the talent like Taker, who recently, finally, hopefully, permanently retired. And, I'm okay with that as long as it's just a way to make them better and keeping them on the main roster.
Yeah. I think working with Taker would be good. I think in his the last Ride docuseries, they showed him at the Performance Center taking a little time out with the big guys. So, yeah, it makes sense. But it just, for us as fans, when we see you're sending Keith Lee back, it's like, almost makes sense. Even Braun Strowman would make sense. Otis makes sense. But Keith Lee just does not make sense to me. And the fact that you had him lose to John Morrison and The Miz, I don't care if it is John Morrison and The Miz, and I like them both, but, well, I like John Morrison. He's a beast. He's a monster. He should have been booked to never. Him losing should have meant something. Like when Braun Strowman came up, and okay, of course he ran into Roman Reigns, which it is what it is. But at least it was a credible loss. It wasn't like just a throwaway. It makes him seem like he's not a big deal if he's just losing casually versus not losing at all. I don't know. I just think they screwed the pooch. And you made a valid point when they called him up. They threw him right into the main event picture with Randy Orton and Drew. And it's like, once you start there, it's like the Lacey Evans effect. She was brought up and she got feuded with Becky. And what has she done since?
Yeah, I don't know why WWE takes that approach, bringing these new stars up, putting them immediately in the title picture. I think it's a disservice. I saw the match with Keith Lee and The Miz and Morrison, and it was a 2-on-1. I mean, look, I hated to see Keith Lee lose, but you're talking about two guys, former champions, and of course it was supposed to be a tag team match, but both the guys are in the ring at the same time, and it was, if you are going to have him lose, and I'm not saying you should, it's better than if it was like a one-on-one. Like if he just lost to The Miz, to me, that's really egregious. But when you've got two guys of their stature, they're heels, he's a face, he lost, but it wasn't a clean loss. To me, it doesn't make Keith Lee look too bad, but it does go to your point of the booking. Why book him that way at all? Well, you brought this guy up. You had him go face-to-face with Reigns, with Brock. Now you've got him, what are you doing here? You have this great talent. Book him in the right way. Get him in the right matches with the right opponents.
I think this just shows that they don't have that long-term booking approach anymore, where they had WrestleMania planned out 6 months out. I don't know if it's the injuries that got them, where they changed their mind so much where, there was that point, it was like 2 years in a row where like they had Mania booked, but injuries and people got sick, so they had to change the show up. I don't know if they just got in that influx of, well, we had to do this because of this and that, so and they just keep changing. Like, no, you have to pick people and stick with them, or else who the hell are we supposed to believe in? And if I don't have anybody to believe in, why am I watching?
Yeah, man. Good point.
Yep. So, and let's see what else news-wise. Oh, be so remiss, so remiss if we didn't mention the fact that last week we lost, especially in the Black community, when somebody that I personally looked up to as a kid, and we reviewed him on No Holds Barred, and everybody knows him from Friday. Debo, Tiny Lister Jr. passed away at 62 years old, which is, to me, young. And unfortunately, it was complications from COVID. He had it, I think, in spring, and he got past it, but so apparently it resurfaced in his system and wasn't able to fend it off this time. So, real gut punch, like I said on that podcast, I always knew him as Zeus. Debo was secondary to me. He was Zeus to me. And he did so many other roles. But at the end of the day, in my mind, he was always Zeus. Rest in peace, Tommy. There'll never be another one. Nobody will be Debo again. So,
Well, man, without a doubt, just another terrible loss for 2020, like you said, especially for the Black community. We did the review for No Holds Barred, and I think I told you that when that movie originally came out, I had no interest in seeing it. I never saw the movie. However, in connection with the movie, WWE actually had Thomas Tiny Lister's character Zeus appear on, at the time it was WWE Superstar or WWF Superstars. This was before Raw, before SmackDown. And so what they would do is they would go around the country and they would record these shows, and they would record 4 episodes of these hourly shows at each stop. So I happened to go to a taping in which Tiny Lister actually appeared in person. I actually got to see him in person as Zeus being interviewed by Gene Okerlund. Yeah, you could find it on YouTube. You can see it out there. So I actually got to see him in person. So I'm in countless movies, obviously Debo being the most memorable role. And man, just, as somebody personally, I personally had a sister who I lost to COVID at age 51. It's just a terrible thing, and I know some people don't want to, and I don't want to get on a coronavirus topic here, but some people don't want to wear masks. Some people feel the need to wear masks. All I'm saying is that until we truly get past this thing, man, better safe than sorry. But Tiny Lister, like I said, just one more terrible loss for 2020.
Yep. And for those wondering, the name Tiny was, a joke. The guy was 6'5", so he was far from tiny.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so getting back to this weekend, I know we talked again about, WWE missed an opportunity to book what I feel would have been a perfect match with, Lana and Asuka versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Nia Jax been putting Lana through tables the last 4 or 5 months. You got TLC, the pay-per-view, where you have all these stipulations to use, including a tables match, and you don't book it. Matter of fact, you don't even book Lana on the show. I don't get it. Why did we do all this? And we could have missed the big boat. I mean, it's like standing in front of a gigantic boat and missing it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement on that one. This whole storyline with Lana, first I just thought they were trying to bury her with constantly putting her through these tables. I thought it made WWE look bad, really. I thought it was their way of taking a shot at Miro, a.k.a. Rusev, who has left and gone on to AEW. I thought they were basically roughing up his wife as an effort to get back at him. But Lana got some get back this week. She pinned Nia clean. And I thought that was a good way to springboard into the match that you were just describing. Instead, Shayna and Nia both attack Lana, quote unquote, injuring her to the point where she can't compete at TLC. Just like you said, another example of bad booking and missed opportunities.
Yeah. And when she beat Nia, it was quite the interesting pinning combination there at the end.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it.
If you haven't seen it, just look it up. That's all I'm saying. Oh man. Well, let's not belabor this point because while we haven't done one of these in a while. That's kind of why I wanted to do it. Not as much news items as I normally have, but we're gonna get right into predictions. Before we do, reminder: it's the end of the year, so this is gonna be an epic show. Jesus, 2020 has been one hell of a year. So when we get down to talking the best and the worst of, it will definitely be two different shows, and we'll be counting down for sure. Our favorite matches, our worst matches, superstars, gimmicks, and a few more things. And of course, we haven't done it in so long. Chance or no chance, we'll be making this return. So we've gone from the Amway Arena to the Tropicana Field. It's still the Thunderdome. I think tonight was the first time they're using it, Tropicana Field, but it's on FS1 tonight, so I'm not able to watch it. So get into the card. All right. So interesting match to start off with here. Sasha Banks defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against the newly reformed Carmella. What do you think of Carmella's entrance there?
I like it.
I think her outfit is interesting
what about
too.
you, Mr. Eric?
Hey, it's a little risque. A little more risque than I thought the WWE would do, but hey. But as far as this match goes, I think that this will be really good. For what it's worth, I know Carmella's good brother Blick's his favorite. But him and her and Asuka. I think it will be a good match. I think she does good work in the ring, and I think she'll work well with Sasha Banks. But I don't think it's going to be her time. I think Sasha retains, and this is just a stop for Sasha on her way to the Royal Rumble. So I'm going Sasha Banks.
This one's only a tough one for me to call, only because this is one of Sasha's longest title runs. Her runs usually haven't been this long. They're just bringing up Carmella. I could see how they might put it on Carmella, but I'm going to go with Sasha. I just don't think, like you said, I don't think it's Carmella's time. I think they'll find a way to somehow make the ending somewhat controversial so that they can continue the feud onto the Royal Rumble.
The New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods versus the Hurt Business, or as somebody else said, the butt hurt business. Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, I think it's only appropriate that Cedric and Shelton win. The New Day don't need the tag team championships to be the New Day. They're the New Day. Hurt Business, however, needs some wins. Because all they do is 50-50 book them, and it's annoying as hell. They need to just go on a winning streak, and they need some gold. Bobby, in my opinion, Bobby should be challenging for the championship, but it's not the case. He's the U.S. champ. He doesn't even have a match. Another booking problem. In any event, I'm going Hurt Business, Cedric, and Shelton win, even though Cedric been acting a damn fool lately.
Yeah, he has, and I'm with you. It's got to be the Hurt Business. New Day doesn't need it. Hurt Business, they really do. We've talked about how they've been booked and how, this strong faction, like you said, win half of their matches, lose half of their matches. You're building these guys up. They got to have gold. You're not a viable faction if you don't have the gold to back it up. So this is a way to get them a big win on a big card. So I'm going to say the Hurt Business.
And we were just talking about it. So Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defending their tag team championships against Asuka and a surprise tag team partner. Any predictions as to who you think will be your tag team partner?
Wow. There's so many names you could throw out, but most of the big names that come to my mind, I think they would save for the Rumble. You know what? I don't have any guesses. I don't.
Well,
we know Charlotte's on her way back, but they're not going to bring her back this soon. It's going to be at the Rumble.
I would wait for the Rumble.
I don't have anybody.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and go my Homer girl. I'm gonna go Mandy Rose. She came back this past Monday, and made the save. So I'm gonna say it's Mandy Rose.
That's a good guess.
Okay.
But do they win?
Oh, yeah, I didn't even predict it. Okay, so that's a tough no. I think Asuka and Nia retain. Jesus. I'm doing the Doc Stevens. Nia Jax and Shayna retain.
Yeah, I don't know who Asuka's partner will be, but I'm also going to say that Nia and Shayna retain.
Yeah. I didn't think that tag team was going to work out at first, but it turns out it's been working like a gym. So, well, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, with Alexa Bliss versus Randy Orton in a Firefly Inferno match. Now, like we said, don't know if this is cinematic or just a straight up Inferno match with fire around the ring. Bray Wyatt debuted in an Inferno match with Kane. I don't know if Randy Orton at 40, 41, 42 wants to do an Inferno match, but I'm going to guess it's cinematic. But I don't have to guess what Mr. Rob's going to grade it after the fact. So, but you know what? This is a tough one to call as far as a winner. Well, maybe not, because the Fiend usually doesn't lose. So I'm just going to go ahead and go with the Fiend. Bray Wyatt gets revenge for Randy Orton burning down the Wyatt compound. Bray Wyatt, the Fiend.
Yeah, this one makes me nervous. If it were just an Inferno match, that's different. But when you add the term Firefly Inferno match, that's when I think they go cinematic. And everybody who listens to this podcast knows how I feel about those. So I'm not looking forward to it. Maybe they'll surprise me. But yeah, I'm gonna say that wins.
I just hope it's not like an Inferno match and the puppets are like ringside or nothing, no dumb shit like that. I do think they're gonna have it where like Bray Wyatt might start the match and then the Fiend will show up. They'll do some trickery with the camera and the lights because they don't have a crowd, so they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, they did a similar thing on Raw. I think it was last week, where Randy was in the ring with Bray, and I think he had beaten Bray down, and then all of a sudden he looks down and, oh, it's the Fiend. It's not Bray, it's the Fiend. And, not looking forward to this match at all, not just because I think it'll be cinematic. Everybody knows how I feel about the Fiend. I just think this is a boring character, but oh well, I'm in the minority.
But it makes for such a better show. All right. Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles in the TLC match for the WWE Championship. AJ Styles, of course, accompanied by Amos. And this is kind of an interesting dynamic because of, the whole thing with Sheamus. AJ is kind of more of a comedic heel right now because, we almost be grabbing him like a little ass kid and he just kind of be throwing tantrums and yelling and pointing at people. But that doesn't mean to take AJ lightly. I mean, he's still the best wrestler in the world by far. So, in fact, he's so much the best wrestler in the world by far that he doesn't need a world championship. He's AJ Styles. He's that dude. So I think Drew will retain. I don't think they're going to take it off of him that fast. He just won it. And AJ doesn't need it. It'll be a great match. I'm looking forward to seeing that because I think Drew and AJ, they've got history together. So, I think this will be a great match. So, but I'm going to go McIntyre retains.
Yeah, me too. This is probably the match I'm looking forward to the most on the card. Both of these dudes can go. And like you said, I think it's too soon to take it off of McIntyre. And I think AJ will lose in a way that doesn't make him look bad. I maybe almost interferes, and in an effort to try to help AJ, he somehow screws up and actually costs AJ the match. Something like that so that AJ can lose, but AJ will have a way of saying, well, hey, he didn't really beat me. So, yeah, McIntyre retains.
I think AJ is going to sell the shit out of that Claymore kick.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I see. I just picture him in my mind just looking like a flop, like a fish flopper, like my book likes to say. And last but not least, the head of the table, Tribal Chief Roman Reigns defending the Universal Championship against Kevin Owens in a TLC match. I want to look forward to this match, but when Roman Reigns is whooping Kevin Owens' ass every single week, it's like, where's the threat? That's the only downside. When you book somebody so dominant, it's hard to, I don't want sympathy for Roman, but you don't think he's going to lose either. So I think it'll be a good match. We've seen Kevin Owens and Roman in the past. I don't think Kevin Owens ever beat Roman clean. I think he beat him at the Royal Rumble with Chris Jericho in 2017 because Jericho was in the Shark Tank, but that wasn't clean. So I don't know, but there's no way Roman's losing. Roman's not going to lose for a long time. So Roman Reigns.
Yeah, Reigns wins. They're trying to make him look dominant, strong. Owens is a good opponent, and we know he's coming to fight. And I think this match could get a little brutal maybe. But at the end of it all, Reigns retains.
Yeah. I would like to see more brutality out of Reigns. I mean, he's walking around with the Thanos hand grip, and it's like, well, you should be destroying people. Like, I get it. He didn't destroy his cousin. I think him and Drew had a hell of a match. Not to show my hand on the Countdown show, but that was definitely a hell of a match. And I think him and Kevin Owens have a good match too. I just don't know if, I don't know. I'm just not as excited for that. And I hate seeing Kevin Owens get buried, but I guess if you're Kevin Owens, you'd rather be in a title match than on the kickoff or not on the show at all. So take what you get. Yeah, that's the card. I mean, only 6 matches. It's kind of like a takeover almost. I'm pretty sure those 2 TLC matches are going to get a lot of time. Oh, and I'm sure that Firefly Inferno match is going to get a lot of time. So we'll just have to sit back and see what happens. For those listening, make sure you go back and check out some shows we got going for you. We got WrestleMania 13 retrospective. We've got our second ever movie review, Ready to Rumble, which I know Rob didn't think it could get any worse than No Holds Barred, but guess what?
Yeah, I was wrong on that.
So we got that. NXT TakeOver War Games post-show. And you can even go back as far as the Survivor Series post-show. So quite a bit of content going right now. And, of course, this show, you can also check us out on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. So please make sure you check us out. Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, Third Generation Wrestling Podcast. Twitter is podcast_third. I think that's everything. Mr. Rob.
Hey, I always want to thank the listeners. We appreciate y'all, and let's hear from you. Be safe out there. Merry Christmas. If we don't talk to you, well, actually, you know what? We're going to talk to you Sunday nights. Never mind. I got ahead of myself.
Hey, no problem. Yeah, but be safe, like you said. Let's get rid of this thing and let's get back to life as we know it, because we want to get back to live events and covering those things for you guys. So have a good weekend. Enjoy TLC. We'll speak to you all immediately after.